Of reports on what works. This one about turning a real nuisance into something useful. If you've spent any amount of time in the American South, then you know the nuisance here. Kudzu, a vine that grows practically everywhere it's not supposed to. In fact, it's a practically indestructible scourge. So what's so useful about it?
No Native American ever ate apple pie before 1492. It could not have happened because the ingredients necessary were brought by the first settlers. The very notion of an America to be native of is post-Columbian, but a natural America is a cultural fiction.
I think that one can trace cultural flows again with, the earliest beginnings of humankind, and I think that when you have a culture that is already settled, there are different ways of introducing cultures. It feels like tomatoes and apples are indigenous to the U.S., but they're not. And so give it time and it feels like it becomes a kind of local culture, local plant, local idea.
Kudzu first came to the United States at the 1876 Centennial Celebration in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as part of the garden exhibition brought by Japan. It was a popular attraction, and people would return each day to marvel at how quickly it grew. But it wasn't until the 1930s that the vine really began to take root in the United States.
President Roosevelt makes his first tour of the Civilian Conservation Corps camp in the Shenandoah Valley.
Roosevelt's Civilian Conservation Corps boasted kudzu to be a miracle nitrogen fixer that would help in fertile lands. They implemented programs to plant it along highways, railroads, and in fields as a means of erosion control, paying up to $8 an acre to farmers willing to plant it. By the 1950s, this miracle vine had fallen from glory, and it was no longer suggested for use due to the difficulty of control. In the 1970s, the USDA termed it a pest weed, and by 1997, it had been placed on the federal noxious weed list, which regulates the interstate spread of the plant without a permit.
Kudzu is a classic case of introducing literally a new plant, a new bioform, bringing it in, and then the unintended consequences emerge after the fact. But kudzu is so interesting because it kind of shows a variety of responses. Now that it has become so invasive, what do we do with it?
We've had some problems with not enough growth, and then we've had some weed problems. Johnson grass and just briars and things will get mixed in with it. So we haven't had as good a kudzu crop, that along with the kudzu bug, which has knocked it back some. I'm Caroline Edwards. I'm the daughter of Henry and Edith Edwards, and I'm a licensed soil scientist and the kudzu kid. Growing up here on the kudzu cow farm as a dairy farm, I did a lot of hay baling and feeding cows with kudzu when I was a teenager because we had so much of it growing, and when Dad found out that it was usable, the cows loved it, got a lot of nutrition from it, and so it was just a really good way for us to have a low-cost way to feed the dairy cows. And then when Mom discovered the book of kudzu early in the 80s, she just went to town on cooking with it and figuring out all the different things that could be done with the kudzu plant.
Most anything we'll eat it: horses, chickens, pigs, cows, turkeys, llamas. We'll eat groundhogs, love it, and deer love it, but anything that eats the forage will love kudzu. And all you do is harvest it. So that's better than plowing, planting, and fertilizing, buying seed, and all that stuff.
In 1977, a book came out by the Mother Earth book, and said that kudzu was good to eat, not only for the animals, but for people. And I said, for goodness sakes, here's this green growth all around the farm. We could have been eating it and not having to buy things at the store. Then there was a book of kudzu that was printed, written by a Japanese couple, and it was on page 52 where I found out I could French fry the leaves, and boy, that's the way to go. That's the way to learn that kudzu is so edible. So many people hesitate. Do I really want to eat a kudzu leaf? And they, of course, do, and find out it's very tasty, very delicious, and say, well, wow, we could be eating this kudzu and enjoying it.
Typically what I would do to get kudzu, I would just look over here, and you can see a lot of this is dead because as it's growing, it continues to die and kind of grow over itself. So I'm Matt Tommy. I've been making baskets for about 20 years out of Kudzu. I had grown up in South Georgia in Boy Scouts, loved being outside, that sort of thing, kind of crafty by nature, I guess. And I was working at the University of Georgia bookstore right across from the stadium, and found a book on willow basket making. Then something inside me was just like, oh, you need to get this book. And so I got the book and I took it home, and I lived next to this big kudzu patch in Athens, Georgia, next to the Etowah River. And my roommate and I, we went out like with a pair of scissors and a big kitchen knife and started pulling kudzu down out of the trees. And I'm like, I don't know, 19, 20 years old, something like that. And all my friends are like, you have lost your mind. And I got the book and I got the kudzu and I started making baskets like I saw in the book out of kudzu. Over the years, it's interesting from an artistic perspective. My love for kudzu has really grown because as I've pressed it, it continues to give me different results, which is really nice. So it's something that you can use very roughly and organically, or you can take it in a really refined way, which is what I'm trying to do with it. Somebody told me one time, they said, you know, kudzu gets a bad rap, but I think it's just a plant looking for the right relationship. And I was like, that is so true. And I feel like in me it's found that, and hopefully other people too, that we don't just, as Southerners, write it off, you know, as something that's the scourge of the earth and something that we don't like. Because a lot of people have done that, and you know, we see in Asia and other parts of the world where they're using it as food source, as medicine, as fiber for clothing. And so I just really am excited to be a part of the kudzu movement and be one of the modern pioneers, if you will, in trying to bring recognition to it and say, hey, this is not just something that's, you know, everybody should hate, but it's something that we should embrace as a culture and use, because God knows we're not getting rid of it anytime soon. So.
Did I ever tell you all about that time at the lake? It was kudzu, boy, that saved my life. Wouldn't tell you no lie now, this ain't no fake. Saved my dog, my gun, and my third wife. Had the bass boat going like a cool, cool breeze. We were doing about 60, I bet. Throttle got stuck, we about to slam up in the trees. Kudzu caught us like a great big net.
Kudzu, a Southern musical, is based on the syndicated comic strip by Doug Marlette. The musical is about a young Kudzu DuBose whose greatest ambition is to leave his small town of Bypass, North Carolina, and to become a writer in the big city. Meanwhile, the corrupt businessman, Big Bubba, is trying to sell off most of the town as an industrial park to a Japanese-American flag manufacturer. Keeping him from his goal is Kudzu's family, who owns a 14-acre patch of kudzu and the gas station that sits next to it. It is up to Kudzu DuBose and his friends to find a way to save the town and to reach his dream of becoming a writer. Bland Simpson is a member of the Red Clay Ramblers and a co-writer of Kudzu, a Southern musical.
Big Bubba, the businessman, says that land is worthless. All you got there is that vine and sinkholes underneath it, and we don't know, but until late in the play. But that kudzu patch is hiding a red spring of a natural source of barbecue sauce. So there's a special environmental wonder. It's kind of at the heart of this patch, and therefore at the heart of the town that nobody knows about. But the metaphorical thing, of course, is that you can't judge a book by looking at the cover, and there's, you know, still waters run deep, and you may be looking at something and not realizing what the hidden meaning is. And there may be value where many say there is none.
Sauce. Check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out. Under your noses, Kudzu DuBose, lead the way through the vine and the moss to the sauce. If you're thirsting for a miracle, come see our lake. Sauce, 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 sauce. Kneel down by the shore. Go on, partake. Sauce. We once were lost, but now we found. Sauce, 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 sauce. Check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out.
Kudzu is a very maligned plant because people don't understand its potential. There are so many opportunities to use kudzu in so many ways. And because it's a new plant in this country and it's not part of our tradition, then we haven't done that. So we've just been really blessed here on our farm to have the opportunity to use kudzu here, and we love to share that story with other people.
You know, the old saying is you can't judge a book by its cover, and I think that kudzu is very much that. You know, we've gotten stereotypes and beliefs in our mind that, you know, this thing is no good and it's not worth using or whatever. And I really value what I do from a creative perspective, but also a redemptive perspective, because I think what we do with kudzu as artists is take that which is bad and everybody says is no good and can't be used, and we redeem it into this beautiful piece of art. And I think there's unlimited resources and unlimited uses for kudzu, like a lot of things that are out there that we just judge automatically.
Just seeing it on the highway, it's almost beautiful. I mean, it's a curtain, it's a blanket, it's so huge. It's so American in some ways. It's taken on an American identity because we Americans are so big, and we're known for being big. We have our big cars and our big meals and our Big Macs, et cetera, et cetera. So kudzu feels almost like a Southern thing. I mean, one has to be told now it's Japanese. But how do I feel about it? I mean, it's almost, you almost have to be in awe of something that can adapt as well as kudzu has. We're like kudzu, aren't we? We adapt everywhere. We and dogs. We human beings. So kudzu is us.